those of you who are new, if you're watching this later on Facebook, on YouTube, that's just youtube.com, search If You Have an Egg. When I switch to the apron, that means that we are halfway through and we're getting to usually the fun part. We are getting to something interesting. Usually it's something to learn or something to learn how to do, or we're testing something or trying something out. And so if you just want to see the second half, just look for the apron, because that tells you that it is time to do the second half. And yes, Barbie, this cup has been around a long time, but it is part of the second half chat. And that will make sense here in just a second. But yeah, so now you know that we're on to the second half. Okay, this week's second half, and everybody get just another little sip of water, because, you know, still got that little tickle in my throat. So this has been chat number 300, and I believe 84. Yep, chat 384, and we were talking about sugar, fiber, carbs. Now we are going to we're focusing on fiber, but what do we also have to focus on if we're focusing on fiber? So if we're adding fiber to our day, and let me tell you again from this article, and this is an article from, this was like the best, most encompassing of topics that we were talking about edition of Cooking Light, and it's the Cooking Light special issue on power bowls. So according to Cooking Light, you can have fun with fiber. They've got a bunch of different ways to have fun with fiber, but they say fiber can help us manage or lose weight, reduce inflammation, protect against heart disease, reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. Yet most of us don't get enough. 25 grams a day for women, 38 for men. And then they have some fiber-rich foods to check out. And Vicky's exactly right. So, I don't know what's a druplet, Deborah. But Vicky is exactly right. If we talk about fiber, then very next thing that we have to talk about is water, okay? You have to have enough water. You have to have enough fluids. Let me just check this out here. Oh, wow, okay. That's interesting. I will have to come back and read that. Okay, so again, if you are going to get the 25 grams of fiber that are recommended, and if you don't drink enough water, and we're going to talk about water here in a second, if you don't drink enough water, you're going to have a completely different situation. So we're talking about, when we're talking about eating this fiber, if you consume, how do I say this gently? If you consume fiber that breaks down, so that would be soluble fiber. So, you know, some things, when you get them wet, they turn clumpy, or like they clump and kind of stick together. That's still fiber, and it's still going to pass through your body as fiber. But if you don't get enough liquid, it's just going to become a brick in your gut, okay? So you're going to have a different issue in here. So if we're going to talk about fiber, the next thing we have to talk about is water. Also, in this edition of Cooking Light, which is, the front of it looks like this. I bought it because of these pretty power bowls, and I needed something to read while Casey and I were doing 2 markets in 2 days. So we basically did 2 markets in 27 hours, I think, which was a lot, especially on a week after I had lost my voice, but we did okay. We were okay. So when I was going through this, I thought, you know, if we're talking about fiber, we need to go straight into the second half talking about water. So water is hydration. Hydration is water. Okay, so for years, I have been taught, even by Weight Watchers, I have been taught that water is water is water. And if it's adulterated water, so if it's like flavored water or water with something in it or whatever, that it didn't count. So for years, I believe that, and that is a myth. There are a handful of things that you shouldn't count as water, and I do agree with that. But water is water. Fluid, anything that has water in it. So there are fruits and vegetables that have water. Like if you eat more watermelon, you're getting more water, and it counts as more water. I wouldn't count it as a glass, but it counts as more water. If you eat cucumbers, Cucumbers are going to have more water. So, you know, certain foods have more water. So you don't just have to drink plain water for it to count as water. Okay. And let's see, I wanted to tell you all that according to Cooking Light, water makes up the largest component of the body, approximately 60% in adults and 70% in children. 70%. And kids don't know. I'm going to segue to kids real quick. We have to stay on top of the girls because they don't know. They don't normally know when they're getting thirsty. But so 70% in children, and the body loses water every single day through urination, which makes sense. Breathing, just breathing, you're emitting water, you're losing water. Sweating, even if you don't break a sweat, you're losing water, you know, through your pores every day. Your metabolism, excretion of waste, which, okay, pooping, yeah. So I thought that kind of went with the urinating, but okie dokie, I guess it needed to be its own little thing. So replacing the water is critical, okay? It is absolutely critical. And when you bump up the fiber, so when you focus on fiber for your homework this week, you're going to have to pay attention to your water consumption. Also, as you get older, it's harder for you to tell that you're getting thirstier because a lot of older people are not getting the same kind of sensation because, I mean, let's face it, the girls out here that are, and I don't think we have any like 20-year-olds out here, but when you're not a kid, because the kids just are too busy and their minds are too busy doing other things that they sometimes don't realize when they're thirsty and when they need water, and we have to remind them. But when you're like a late teenager into early adulthood, you know, like maybe mid-20s to 30s, you know, you're running, you're moving, you're constantly going, you're, you know, whatever. So you realize a little bit quicker when you're thirsty, you kind of get that, you know, kind of get that thirsty feeling. When you're older and your hormones are changing, maybe you've got like a sedentary, you know, job, you're not moving around as much and you don't realize. I mean, it's different when you're running a marathon. You know, I've got to drink some water. You know, you have to. But if you have a sedentary job, you're maybe not thinking, I should probably be sitting here drinking some water because I'm excreting water while I'm talking and while I'm existing and while I'm sitting here. It's just not something that really runs through your mind. But when you're older, your body doesn't know as much. You can actually, your brain kind of shrinks when you don't have, or like it squeezes in on itself when you don't have enough water. If you already have a dehydration headache, like if you are already low enough on water that it's causing a headache, you are too low on water. And y'all have heard me say before that I was a quart low. Casey and I are both a quart low right now. Again, two markets back to back. Both shows had a porta potty. Blech, that's a whole nother. Y'all think I don't like cottage cheese? I don't like porta potties worse than cottage cheese. I way reduced my water intake both last night for the night market and today for the day market because no way was I using a porta potty, but now I am more than a quart low. And we need water because it protects our heart. It makes everything move like our joints need it. It helps keep your kidneys healthy, you know, passing water through. It helps your immune system. Again, things like your weight, it does help to promote healthy weight because everything's kind of running like it should be. It can lessen the risk of early death and chronic diseases, prevents headaches. You know, it just does, water does a lot of things. And I know Sarah's saying, whoa, and we're focusing on fiber. We've got to get in some water. Okay, so again, for years, I thought it had to be pure, unadulterated water. So I don't know if any of you all ever thought that your water was adulterated, if it had fizzy in it or if it had flavorings in it or whatever. But for years, and actually the program that we were on, the Weight Watchers program that we were on before this one, or maybe it was the one before that one, when we tracked water in our tracker, you were only allowed to track pure water. You couldn't track anything else. So how much water do you need? On average, everybody here, 64 ounces of water a day. 8-ounce glasses is what I've been told my entire life. But actually, according to the National Academy of Medicine, they advise that men have 104 ounces, which is 13 cups of water, and that women should get 72 ounces, which is 9 cups of water. So what does 9 cups of water look like? Each one of these is a cup. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to scoot these over. Maybe y'all can see these. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9? Now I've got to drink 9 glasses of water, 9 cups of water. Whew, that's an extra cup. So I thought I only needed to get 8 cups of water, and now I've got to get 9. How in the world am I going to get 9 cups of water in? And for those of you all who don't like water, I know a lot of you all are just like, gag, I cannot drink plain old water. Let's figure out how to get 9 cups in, okay? So this was 9 cups of water. Let me put these up. These are unused cups. So let me put these up real quick. And we're just going to use 1 cup at a time. So this is 1 cup or 16 fluid ounces. And we're going to figure out how to get in 9 cups of water. So first thing I'm going to say is it does not have to be unadulterated plain water. I am going to use plain water in my example just because I will drink it. I do like plain water. I do like, though, don't worry about the brand name. I do like, yeah, okay, Sarah says she doesn't know how many she's getting because she loves ice. That's okay. That is okay. So spring water. I love spring water. I love the way it tastes. If you've got like a natural artesian well anywhere near you, that's the best. But again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be just plain. It can be anything. So you can count as water other things besides just plain unadulterated water, except for one thing. I will say some of these I still think need to be consumed in moderation, but let's chat a little bit about these. So this is 1 cup, okay? So here is 1 cup of water. Okay, so there's 1 cup of water. Now you can count your first cup of coffee in the morning. You can count more than 1 cup of coffee in the morning. So here is a cup of water. This is a normal coffee cup. And I'm going to say that in this normal coffee cup, you can get a little bit more than 1 cup of water. So I'm going to keep going. Okay, so in this normal coffee cup, a normal sized coffee cup, not even the size that I normally drink out of, this is just a normally sized coffee mug, there's already 1 and a smidge cups of water. So we've already got that knocked down. Then let's say that we're, moving on through our day and we go to lunch and we decide, you know what, I'm going to have a glass of tea at lunch. I did not have a to-go cup. So let's pretend like we're at a regular restaurant. We've gone out to lunch with some other friends or some work friends. So here is just a regular glass, nothing fancy about it. And we're going to have just a glass of water, a glass of lemon water, a glass of unsweet tea, something like that. Diet lemonade maybe. So now we've already had 2 of our 9. We're working on number 3. We've already almost had 3. So just by having our morning cup of coffee and having 1 glass of water at lunch, and again, it can be ice water, it can be lemon water, it can have a little bit of lemon, it can have a little bit, sometimes I like to have them put lime in it instead of lemon. Sometimes I like it plain, sometimes I like it with something. It can be fizzy water, it could be a diet drink, it could be unsweet tea, something like that. As long as it doesn't have any extra calories in it, yeah, you can still count it as water. So we're almost up to 3 already, and we're just barely done with lunch. Okay, then we have an afternoon snack. So for our afternoon snack, we just need a little pick-me-up. So for our pick-me-up, we're gonna make something special like some tea. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out my favorite mason jar. and I'm going to put a tea bag in it. And this one is an unsweetened, it's a pre-sweetened with an artificial sweetener, and that's okay, because remember, it no longer has to be unadulterated. So I'm just going to make myself, you know, I need a little pick-me-up at work, so I'm going to make myself some tea. We're already on cup number 4. Okay, not looking too bad now. So here is cup number 4, and trust me, I can drink this in a day. So there is cup number 4. We actually need a little bit more than 4. So this is starting on cup number 5. If we're going to make our tea, and if we're going to enjoy this, you know, like mid-afternoon, maybe you're going to have this mid-afternoon with some little, you know, some little something, you know, just take a little break from everybody else. You can have you can make this into hot tea. You can make this into hot water with lemon, or you can just make some refrigerator tea. We've already had 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're working on our 5th cup. So that'll be a nice little refrigerator tea for tomorrow. Okay. Then this one I'm not going to pour anything in, but I'm going to move one of the cups to represent this. So let's say that you enjoy a diet beverage. And so for dinner tonight, you're going to have a diet beverage and you're going to have a Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Not going to lie, I fished this out of the recycling here at work because I can't drink carbonated beverages. And Kelsey had this with her lunch on Saturday. So thanks, Kelsey. I dug this out of your recycling. So let's say that you're going to have, you know, a Dr. Pepper Zero. Totally fine. You're going to have a Coke Zero. You're going to have some kind of unsweetened beverage. You could have, it could be, you know, some Crystal Light or something like that. So this is 12 fluid ounces. So I'm going to move an empty cup. I'm not going to fill this up with water. So I'm going to move an empty cup over here. So there's another cup of water. But maybe after dinner, you went out for some adult beverages. This is not going to count, okay? So let's say that this is a beer, or this is, you wouldn't have a glass of wine, I don't think, in an aluminum cup. But let's just say that this is a beer, you've gone out, you know, for the evening, or if, you know, if you just enjoy a beer on your back porch or whatever, an alcoholic beverage, that's the one thing that will not count. So you cannot count caloric beverages, and you cannot like caloric beverages. That doesn't mean if you added fruit to it. That doesn't mean, so don't crush up the fruit. Don't squeeze the fruit juice, even though that does count towards your, you know, liquid consumption. Try not to add any extra points or calories to it. But an alcoholic beverage, you can't count that as water, as plain water. So I have to put this one over here. So we do not get to count that one as water. Now earlier Barbara said, wow, that cup's been around for a while. This is a tumbler that was gifted to me years ago, and I keep this one on my desk. So I keep this one or one similar to this on my desk. This is one that I keep a straw in, and I just threw out the day. So this is not my cup of coffee for breakfast. So it's not this. It's not my cup of coffee for breakfast. This is not my glass of iced tea at lunch, or my glass of water with some lime at lunch. It's not my pick-me-up refrigerator tea that I'm going to have in the afternoon. It is certainly not my Dr. Pepper Zero that I have with my dinner. This is just the one that I'm going to keep at my desk and I'm going to sip on. Let's see if I'm going to make it for the day. So there's the rest of this cup. I may have to fill this up another time. Oh, I think I'm going to be shy. 1 cup, maybe a little over a cup. Yep, I'm going to be shy. So even having this at my desk, I'm going to be shy 1 1/2 cups of water. So that's with the new amount. That's with my new goal of 9 cups or 72 ounces of water. I'm only shy 1.5 cups. So I'm 1/2 of a cup away from my old goal of 84 ounces of water a day. I'm only 1.5 cups away from my new goal. So a couple of things that I could do to make this up. One is, and I already do this, one is I have 2 cups of coffee, and they're a little bit bigger than this. So I get to count both of my cups of coffee. The other thing that I do, so that would be plenty, that would be all of it. The other thing I do is I make myself drink my coffee mug, which is actually, my coffee mug's actually this size, which holds just a little more. Let's see how much mine does hold. So my actual coffee mug that I use, that's one from here at work. My actual coffee mug gets rid of that half. So I've already consumed the other half of mine just using my normally sized coffee mug. And I usually have 2 cups this size of coffee. So that means I've already gotten rid of that. But as an added bonus, before I have my first cup of coffee, I fill this up with water, drink the whole thing. I go ahead and take my medicine in the morning. I take it with water. I do not take it with coffee. So I've already had 1 whole coffee mug. If I had a regularly sized coffee mug, that would be right at 1 cup of water. If I have my normal sized coffee mug, it's about 1.5 cups of water. So I've already had that before I get started with my coffee for the day. And now that coffee counts, everything that I'm drinking, except a caloric beverage or except for an alcoholic beverage, I'm not drinking alcoholic beverages, but for those of you who do, all the rest of this counts. So my cup of water before my cup of coffee counts. My giant cup of coffee counts. My water at lunch counts. My water, which is, or my treat unsweet refrigerator tea counts. I don't drink this, but Kelsey does. My Dr. Pepper Zero at dinner counts. The water that I keep at my desk and just sip on throughout the day, that counts. So since all of that counts, I have, and Barbara wants me to recap how many ounces of water in a day. I've been doing 80, trying for 84, but 64, but the new recommended amount is 72 for women, which is 9 cups of water a day, and I can't do the cup stacking thing, which is 9, and for men, the new amount is 104 ounces, which is 13 cups of water. Those are the new recommended amounts. But do y'all see how easy that was? So again, not doing a night market with Casey, not doing a day market with Casey that has a porta potty. These are under normal circumstances. Drinking my cup of water in the morning to take my medicine, drinking my coffee, drinking water or like fruit water at lunch, having a nice lovely treat of unsweet tea for an afternoon snack, having a diet soda for dinner, and sipping on just some water. It could be fruit flavored water. It could have like that Mio or something like that, Crystal Light or something in it. Just having that, don't panic. Don't freak out. And yes, Alyssa would do a much better job of this. I am going to get, if I just stay on top of this and just have my normal things, don't skip it. Don't try to not drink anything because there's a porta potty. But there's already those 9 glasses of water. So I am no longer panicking about getting in my water. I'm just going to do my normal things. I'm going to make sure, because this is the bulk of this is the biggest amount that I drink in a day I don't want to say at one time because this is throughout the whole day. If I just make sure that I'm sipping on this, every few minutes, every hour, every 30 minutes, whatever, if I just make sure that I'm sipping on this throughout the day at my desk, I've already got the rest of it handled. The rest of it is absolutely handled. So I hope y'all will have some great ideas for how to get in some water. If you're going to focus on fiber this week, you've got to get in enough water or we're going to be having a completely different discussion. But okay, so I hope y'all enjoyed this. Thank you again for letting me rest my voice. I hope y'all have a great week. If you are watching this on YouTube, just go ahead and let that next video roll over. Again, that's just youtube.com, search If You Have an Egg, and I will try really hard to remember to post Barbara's doctor always tells her, drink water. Well, and I've been preaching drink water at the halfway point to y'all for years. So probably for 5 or 6 years, I don't know. But yeah, if y'all just let that roll over and go ahead and subscribe. And I will try to remember to post the link for that list so that y'all have it later if you don't know where to find that. But y'all have a great week. Get plenty to drink. Focus on the fiber. Get lots to drink though, lots of extra to drink to make sure that that fiber is doing what it's supposed to. And I hope y'all enjoy some delicious complex carbohydrates this week while you're getting your fiber. Have a great week, and I will see you next time. Good night.